Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. In today's story, OP found out his wife cheated on him after he discovered that his wife went on a honeymoon with her boss after OP had proposed to her. Now, let's get into today's story to find out what happened. I, 29 male, had just relocated to a new city. It was during one of those nights of trying to get acquainted with the new surroundings that I met my current wife. We would go on to date for a year before tying the knot shortly after. The initial stages of our relationship were pretty much like any other new marriage. Blissful, full of adoration for each other, and wanting to spend any chance you get together. But some red flags were already looming in the background. While dating, my wife had a lucrative job that came with many perks and benefits that would trickle down to me by virtue of being her better half. My wife introduced me to her boss and seemed to be going on well as we got along just fine. I had to play the supportive husband as my wife's job entailed a lot of traveling to various states for meetings. I didn't make much out of it, as it was usually a team traveling together with their boss in tow. I never complained until this one time, 2 weeks after the wedding, when my wife talked of going on a business trip with her boss only. It only seemed right that we spend a bit more time together since we were still in the honeymoon phase. I mentioned the same to her and even tried to stop her, but a furious fight occurred instead. We had never had a fight before. She called me unreasonable, and I couldn't help but wonder a little about these business trips. In the end, she definitely still traveled with her boss, totally disregarding my feelings. Feeling distraught, I turned to my friends for advice and their take on the matter. In unison, they all suspected that something was amiss. This just escalated my curiosity. I had no option but to wait for her return, as it was pointless trying to have a serious discussion with her right then. She came back after a week. I played it cool to avert any suspicion. I attempted to unlock her phone when she slept, to no avail. She had altered her PIN. Undeterred, I secretly watched her moves for the next few days with the hopes of retrieving the PIN. That came to fruition as I saw her key it in and mastered it. When I next got a hold of her phone, I wasn't ready for what met my eyes. My wife had changed her boss's name to a woman's, but I was able to join the dots because of the nature of the conversation in the threads and the numerous nudes exchanged between the two. You can imagine my shock. She had been unfaithful all along. I felt so torn and confused. The so-called business trip was what she considered her real honeymoon. Those were the exact words she used while chatting with her boss. It now became apparent that she had gotten married to me to conceal the rumors going around about dating her boss, a married man. Suddenly, it hit me that all the benefits and preferential treatment she got from her boss were due to their affair and not on merits. How could I have been so gullible? But whoever thinks straight when so deep in love and at the initial stages of a hopeful marriage full of hopes, dreams, and plans together. I took screenshots and sent them to my phone for evidence and discreetly deleted any traces of these acts. I'm not sure if it was my fury that made me avenge, but I just know despite her hurting me, I wasn't proud of what I did after. I took my wife's computer and edited her presentation that was due the next morning. I opted to add an intimate photo of her and her boss from their recent honeymoon as the second slide, leaving everything else untouched and as expected. The next morning, she went to work with her presentation, unsuspecting of anything. About an hour later, I received a call from a very frantic and hysterical wife of mine. She had done the presentation and instead exposed herself and her boss to all and sundry. She had the audacity to say I had ruined her life and all that she had worked for. What ensued next was her coming home raving mad and trying to hit me. I asked her to leave to avoid any other confrontations at that point, and she refused. Luckily, her cousin lives nearby, so I called on her to come and salvage the situation after explaining what had transpired. She came in and whisked my wife away as she kept screaming at the top of her voice, causing drama. I just wanted peace of mind and somehow felt relieved for how she felt because, frankly, she deserved it and more. So far, I've filed for an annulment of the marriage. We've only been married for under a month, and I don't wish to be associated with her in any way, ever. So, I'll emerge pretty unscathed except for the tremendous emotional trauma. My wife, who doesn't even deserve that title, tried slithering her way back to her boss's arms, but he too wanted nothing to do with her. He opted to now focus on his family going forward. She has become miserable and a shadow of herself, depressed. So I'm wondering, was it worth it to throw a good man in marriage to boot under the bus? All the time, emotions, and money I invested in this held no water after all. I felt so betrayed, used, heartbroken, and sad for all the time I wasted that I'll never get back. All in all, I've taken my lessons and have decided to take it one day at a time as I await for the annulment to be finalized. OP, I'm so sorry about what happened to your marriage, and I can't even imagine how hurt and in disbelief you must have been when you found out your marriage was built on a lie. Your revenge was perfect, and she honestly deserved what she got. She used you, and she even gaslighted you when you were getting suspicious. I'm so glad you found out, because now you can easily annul the marriage and say goodbye to that evil woman forever. Take it one day at a time and try to heal yourself. I hope the next time you get married, it will be to someone who truly loves you and who you love too. Take care, OP. Now let's get into today's second story. Basically, my girlfriend of 2.5 years had a drunken one-night stand while she was on a Europe trip and admitted it to me as soon as she got back with absolute sorrow and heartbreak in her eyes and voice. It's been a couple of months, and I think I'm ready to try and move on and reconcile with her. Basically, my logic is that she committed possibly the only form of cheating I can forgive because of the following reasons. 1, it was with a complete stranger who she caught off completely. No emotions were involved. She doesn't even know his last name. 2, substances were involved. Yes, I know people hate this excuse, but it's absolutely true that excessive alcohol impairs your judgment of consequences versus rewards, and very clearly lays us more vulnerable to our baser instincts. The idea that everything you would do drunk is something you would do sober just isn't necessarily true in my experience. For example, would I jump up on the bar and start dancing and chanting while sober? Absolutely not. 3, she admitted to it immediately. No ongoing deception, obvious guilt, and remorse. 4, it was the first time she's ever done something like this in her whole life. No pattern of infidelity. 1 time can be a mistake, while 2 times is a choice. Basically, I think I can forgive a drunken one-time mistake with all of the above criteria being met. Humans make dumb, impulsive decisions that I can understand and empathize with. Honestly, the fact that she immediately told me and wants nothing but to improve speaks more to her character than the one-night stand, in my opinion. It would be easier just to bury it, but she chose the more difficult path of virtue and honesty. For me, I really couldn't forgive the ongoing deception and cruelty of a long-term emotional and physical affair, though that flagged is blood red. So much respect for anyone trying to reconcile the situation, because that is true patience. OP, it's 100% up to you whether or not you want to forgive her. Only you can decide if the situation or relationship is recoverable. At the very least, sit down and have a conversation about her substance and alcohol abuse in social settings, and come up with some boundaries that you both agree to. She should completely understand that it will take a long time to rebuild trust, and she needs to give you whatever you need to heal. It isn't just an okay, I forgive you, let's move on. Sometimes it will hurt even when it's been a long time, and she needs to accept that and help you through it. Do a gut check and see if you can really get over it or not, at whatever pace you deem best. If ultimately this is going to eat at you forever, then I would save myself the pain and end it. But if you think that after proper actions on her part, you can put it behind you, then it may be worth trying to stay together. I wish you the best of luck, OP. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. My email is in the description. Take care, everyone.